Hey, welcome back to another week of For Your Reference. OT is our quiz master this week with the phrase, on your phrase or mine.
All right, so this week's phrase is from Kenya.
Oh, shout out.
Going back local, so here it is. Slippery ground does not recognize a king.
I will take the revolutionary perspective and say that if people are suffering, they're not really concerned with what's going up on high. They're just trying to make it through their day-to-day struggles. They're not really concerned about the powers that be or the powers that oppress.
Nah, mate. It means even the most powerful people are just human deep down.
Fake news. All right, well, let's get on to another episode. Hey guys, welcome to another week of For Your Reference podcast. Hope you've been well. Hope whoever you've been having romantic entanglements with have been well as well. If you'll pardon the pun. Today is my pick.
That it is.
It is. And we will be talking about the HBO series called Insecure through way of our queen, Issa
And Lawrence, yeah.
Well, he can be a queen, I guess.
Yeah.
The queen of the no one. He can be a Daenerys.
I'll take that.
Okay. I'm sure Lawrence takes it as well. Exactly the way you would. So we're talking about Insecure today, HBO show that came out in 2016 from Joissa. That's her real name. Did you know that?
Joissa.
Yeah, Joissa Ray Diop.
Oh, that's super African. Yeah.
Yeah, she's from Senegal.
Yeah. You can tell.
You're just recognizing your people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's quickly go through the characters of Insecure, but I do want to capture off the entity that is Issa Rae. I think I've tried to mention her as much as possible throughout our whole podcast. Even more than I mentioned Tina Fey. But I definitely want to just capture off the characters and then let's talk a little bit about Issa as well. So Insecure, I guess in a brief sort of nutshell, follows the lives of, young, strong Black women in their mid-20s, venturing into their 30s.
I'd say late 20s.
Sure. Well, she does reach her 30th birthday somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
I think in season 3. Well, in any case, young working professionals just trying to figure out life. Super relatable, right?
Yeah.
And so you've got Issa, obviously, and she may regret it now, but she did keep her name as the main character for this show. At the point of the time of the show, she is in a relationship with Jay Ellis's character, Lawrence. She's also got her ride or die best friend, Molly, played by Yvonne Orji.
Yep.
So
Who's Nigerian, I think.
Yeah, right? You're feeling all the melanin. We've also got, later on in the series, you start to see she's got like a close-knit girlfriend group. So you've got Kelly, who's played by Natasha Rothwell, who was heavily involved in the writing for season 1 of Insecure. And congrats to Natasha Rothwell because she also got a show deal with HBO.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, nice, right? We stand. And then you've also got Amanda Seales' character.
Who also just released a stand-up on HBO, I think. Right?
Yeah. So you've got Tiffany. So you've got that, that sort of close group, you're closer to other people. So Molly's definitely her ride or die in that sort of aspect. She currently works at a not-for-profit. So she's not necessarily her best friend at work, but someone she has quite constant interactions with. And she does start to form some sort of bond with throughout the series is Frida, who's played by Lisa Joyce. And you've got a whole slew of other characters, but the main sort of foundational characters are there. You've also got Daniel, who I am so sorry. Yalan Noel. Do you want to validate? Do you want to fact check me?
Yeah, Lan Noel. I don't know. I would say that.
Okay, if our residential OT pronounce it that way, then I'm sure we're on to a winner. And Chad, let's make sure we reserve some time to talk about Chad today, played by Neil Brown Jr. He's great.
He is good.
So those are the characters that you have, and again, they're just trying to forge their way through life, and not settling for the monotony of Lawrence. I just needed to get that snide in before we started the episode. So that's the cast, and there's also Dro and some other characters as well. If this is your first time visiting for your reference, hi, welcome, welcome to our handful of listeners. We love to have you here. I guess it's always good to preface that we always have spoilers all the time.
Yep, full of spoilers. Straight off the bat.
We're just dripping. It's all about the spoilers here. So I guess just be aware of that. If you haven't watched Insecure and you've got a cute amount of time, you've got a long weekend or, you just want to ignore your boss. Actually, no, you'll need to watch it. You can listen to us, but you probably can't watch a show while you're at work. Unless you really don't care that much. But yeah, definitely watch Insecure if you haven't, and then come back, pour yourself some wine, get some cheese, get some snacks, and then you can follow along with us on this episode.
So where do you want us to start off with this?
Well, I just want to talk about Issa generally. Issa started off with, I think it was called the Dorm Diaries when she was at uni. She kind of put together like some quick sort of videos, and I guess foundationally her stories were always coming from a unique perspective. So, these were the stories and the lives of African-American uni students, right? So that was quite iconic and that was quite unique, but it was pretty much on a small sort of scale. And then you have Awkward Black Girl that came out in 2011. I stumbled across Issa, and I'm not sure how. I would call it serendipity. But, at For Your Reference, we do love a good YouTube moment. So we're all over YouTube. Well, not us personally, but we do like consuming a lot of YouTube. And somewhere along the way, I came across Issa in like 2013. So not when Awkward Black Girl actually came out, but I was definitely riding the wave quite early, and I really liked it. I don't really know what it's like to be an African-American woman in America, but I really enjoyed watching her miniseries. And I guess it came at the perfect time because YouTube was much better than the YouTube that it is today. And what I mean by that is you have people that have stories to tell that are given the platform to be able to tell them without any sort of interference of network executives or of sponsorships. You just had really great content on YouTube. So it was great that Issa had that platform to be able to tell these stories on Awkward Black Girl. And it's also very inspiring for me to see that, she didn't start off on YouTube because she already had bodies of work at that point. But it was so nice to see someone that I stumbled across on YouTube has now grown into the star that we always knew that she was. Right?
Well, I really didn't know anything about Issa Rae until I started watching Insecure.
Blasphemy. How dare you?
Yeah, so I went into this show completely unbiased, and I feel like that's Why?
I'm unbiased as well. Completely objective.
Well, we'll see about that, won't we?
Yeah. But, it's nice. It's nice to see YouTubers that you've been supporting for years make it big.
Mm. Yeah, it seldom does happen, so it's good when it does.
But let's go back to something more exciting and more happy. Let's talk about Issa. Let's talk about Insecure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I could run and tell you quick enough that we needed to watch Insecure as soon as it got announced.
Yep.
I was so excited.
Yep. I didn't have any feelings towards it because I didn't know any of these people, and your excitement to watch it is what made me just sit there and see how it went. And the pilot episode was great. I saw the capability of what the show could be, and it just sunk in. And I was like, "Oh, this is quite a."
But it was
great...
also different from what it was different because it offered another story in the sea of monotonous, not necessarily monotonous, but the same story being told. This was a different one.
To some extent, would you say it's completely different from what Girls is? Like Girls, Leonard Dunham's Girls, because I remember watching the first season, and it's almost not completely like it. I could.
If only you could see my face right now.
I could draw parallels to Girls and Insecure.
I guess the lowest common denominator that you can draw between the two shows is that it's about young 20-something-year-olds trying to make it in the city. That's pretty much it. Writing-wise, stylistically, it's quite different. And what I meant by stories being told, I meant from an African-American perspective.
Cool. Point taken.
You're welcome.
I was just trying to see how you'd respond to that.
No, it's fine. I actually watched Girls. I think I definitely watched the first season of it.
Yeah, I'd watched the first season, and I think I just stopped from there.
Well, Donald Glover was in it as well. And maybe he was only in the second season, so maybe I watched more than one season.
Oh, I've not watched when he was there then.
And Donald Glover also shows up in Orca Black Girl as well.
Oh, does he?
And that's how I know that I loved Issa, because I geeked out as well. Childish Gambino. Come on, guys. Yeah, so it was just nice. It was nice to see that in Orca Black Girl that she was awkward and she did have the moments and the triumphs that, hopefully us watching would have one day. And a lot of it was influence, and there were parallels that were drawn between Orca Black Girl and Insecure. So I was in for a good time.
Yeah. And I enjoyed it. It was good for what it was, for sure.
And that's what makes it great.
Yeah, but we had completely different views of what transpired in the first season, right? Like,
okay, I'm taking my earrings off. I'm pulling my sleeves up. Let's go. You want to go toe to toe with the champ?
Yeah. So tell me about because we're introduced to Issa and Lawrence's relationship.
Well, the interesting thing is we both, even the way we describe the situation is completely different. So do you want to go first?
No, you go first.
Okay. Well, after I say it, you'll change your ways and you won't even need to explain.
You wish.
We're not going to go through a play-by-play of the actual plot, more so developments that happen along the way. So specifically, we're going to talk about Issa and Lawrence's relationship and the cheating that happens.
Yep.
Okay. In no sort of semblance would I condone cheating on your significant other. Let's make that very clear. Feel free to listen to our episode of Money Heist, La Casa de Papel, because we definitely cover that along with other themes. But I definitely don't condone cheating. However, I do believe that a picture does need to be painted in regards to Issa and Lawrence's relationship.
Okay, paint that picture for our audience.
I'm going to Bob Ross this shit. Don't you worry. So we have Issa. So she's working in a not-for-profit, which must be very fulfilling. You know, I've dabbled in not-for-profit world, so I understand. But at the same time, it's not holistically fulfilling for her. So you do start to see that, if not in the first episode, definitely through the first season. Career-wise, she's having a crisis. Her relationship isn't necessarily the crisis. It's kind of the opposite way around. It's complacent is literally the best way to describe it. Just complacent. So let me continue to paint this picture.
Paint
right?
on.
She's in a job that's lukewarm. She's in a relationship that's lukewarm. Her man, Lawrence, has had this amazing idea and he hasn't even drafted a business plan. So he's been bumming around for 4 years, as far as we know within the context of the show, doing absolutely nada. Not even getting a side job because he believes that he's above that and he will get the perfect job once he gets the perfect job. And he didn't think that it was a problem, that he was not that there's anything wrong with the woman being financially the breadwinner in a heterosexual relationship, but just as an entity, just as a unit. If you're not pulling your weight and you don't feel bad about it, who are you? What are you contributing to? What are you bringing to my life? So Issa's been dealing with that for 4 years. Not even after 1 year did Lawrence think, oh shit, I better get my act together. Or, let me go and get a job at a takeout, like a fast food joint, just to get some money so I can contribute, so I feel better that I'm not just wholly relying on Issa. Right? Day in, day out, becoming complacent. And I think he also forgets Issa's birthday.
Does he?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure he does because Issa goes out with Molly to that Ethiopian restaurant. And then she comes home another.
Oh.
But that's what I'm saying. It gets to that point. It gets to that point.
Then again, he's got a lot in his mind trying to get his software
Excuse me,
out.
sir. This is a dignified event of discourse. I will not have you besmirching Issa, let alone interrupting my perfect argument. I know what you're going to say with your futile rebuttals. I know what you're going to say, but he did have a glow up. He did get a job, right? Why did it take... And again, I in this case, I am attributing Issa's cheating. Why did it take an event like that for Lawrence to get his shit together? So let's just linger. Let's just linger on that. Just like Lawrence was lingering for 4 fucking years.
All right, it's marinating.
On his broke ass.
Don't worry.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that Issa was right to cheat, but she was numb. Like she was flatlining.
So you think it was justified?
I'm not saying she was justified. I'm just saying she was flatlining. There was no pulse in her. And then, let's not take away the significance of Daniel's character or lack of in this particular case. He knew Issa at a time that she was passionate about music. He knew that Issa. And he had similar sort of dreams, but you don't have to have similar sort of dreams. But at the same time, he actually encouraged her. So I'm just talking broad series.
Yeah.
He encouraged Issa to pursue that. He actually got involved and was interested in her work.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just saying, if you lay it all out, and you look at all the pieces.
It was written in the stars.
Do I need to continue? Are you done?
Yeah, quite done. So yeah.
So how do you see it? Because I feel like, and I don't even know where this comes from, and maybe we don't have the time and we don't have a couch to get into this. But you really, really felt so strongly that you needed to defend Lawrence. So I want to hear from your perspective, because I was taking it not just from someone that stands Issa and Issa's excellence. How dare you? I was actually just taking it from the point of view, if I was Issa in this situation and I had a man that was complacent and willing and willfully doing shit all and not even trying to get a job because he's waiting for his like $1 million ID. No, sir. No bueno, muchacho.
All right. So he already had his $1 million idea written down. Like, he knew what he wanted to do. He
didn't even have a business plan. That was made quite clear.
It's more.
Sorry. I will let you dig your own hole.
It's more during the incubation period of his idea, in him trying to develop the nitty gritties of what this app would work.
Mate,
you know,
Ehrlich Bachman had a better incubator in Silicon Valley.
Well, all I'm saying is, remember when we first met, I was a freelancer, right? Not even a freelancer. I had my own company and doing my own thing.
Yep.
And I know how hard it is to get something off the ground. And I'm not going to blame Lawrence for trying to get it right before he tries to launch it out to the world. Because once you put it out to the ether, like, it's just, there's no reeling it in if it's crap.
I understand.
Regardless of how many betas or how many versions you roll out, like, it's just, you have to get it right. You have to get it to a certain point where if you release it, has to be good to some degree.
Yeah.
So I'm not blaming him for staying on it or sitting on it. It's like those writers who write their novels or write their books and they just keep it locked and scared to exposing it to the world until it's completely perfect.
You're one step away from attributing him to some sort of Beethoven.
No,
like he's some sort of...
I'm not. Lawrence is smart. Lawrence is well learned. And
come on.
He is learned.
No,
he's not just some bloke off the street.
Okay, we'll get back to the cheating. Even when he actually got a job, his woody woo hoop-de hooped. What was it called? Whoop-de whoop?
His app.
Yeah. Even that didn't get traction. So you can't tell me he's a learned person. He's probably...
How does it mean if his
I would say Lawrence is mediocre at best. Because he's never really...
mediocre at best.
Yeah, and that's... Okay, he's mediocre at mediocre.
I would argue Lawrence is the hope for all the black men living out there with a dream.
But what made him a savant in engineering? What was it? What was he? Was he an engineer? What was he?
He's a developer, and he's got this mind. He's young. He's got this fresh ideas of what he sees that would work out in the market. And granted, waiting 4 years before it could be released, it got passed by the time without him actually revisiting and revising some of his concepts. That's his fault, right? But we need to take this thing into perspective.
I hope my sigh was audible.
Lawrence is a young black man.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. Who's gone through the same struggles as every black man in the neighborhood, right?
Okay, I'm with you, but you might lose me in a second.
And he's got a dream. He knows what he wants to do, which is more than most people out there, right?
Some people are just taking life as it is what you're saying?
He's well educated.
Educated. What has he done that's substantial in his career? The problem that he has is because he's never really... What do you need to do? You need to fail fast and fail often, right? He kept this idea, so he thought he was the bee's knees.
Because he thought he had a lady to put it down, like,
hang on, sir.
While I take care of this,
sir,
just carry me for a bit.
I'm going to have our executive producer, our dog, escort you out of this room until you calm down. It's funny how like 10 minutes ago you were saying that I'm not going to be objective, and here you are holding the banner as the president of the Lawrence Hive.
No, all I'm saying is Lawrence thought he had a lady willing to support him.
No.
thick and
Okay,
thin.
fine. So he had that stability because Issa was, paying most of the bills. I would say all, but let's just be fair and say Issa was paying most of the bills. Okay. So he's being supported by Issa. He's got a good woman, behind him or beside him, right? Where in his evolution is he working on his actual idea? That's the problem that he has. He needs to bring it into fruition. Let me go back to my point. He needs to bring his idea into fruition. Things aren't going to be perfect at the same time, but you also need to be in touch with the market. I don't think he networked in any way possible. So when you're in your little sphere, you think you've got the best idea around, right? There's like a Chinese saying, a frog can't see past the well. I think that's your phrase or mine that I butchered and I bastardized. But essentially what that means is, you think you're the king of the well because you don't know that there's a whole world out there. And that's Lawrence's problem. I'm not going for all of the black men or African-American men. What I'm saying about is Lawrence, right? He had an idea. Woo, cool for you. You are steps ahead of most people. Most people just take life as it comes.
Yeah.
Right? Or most people just, sit around, take a handout and complain about stuff, which he kind of was. But let's just leave him alone from that aspect, okay? He had an idea, which is inspiring. It's good for people to dare to dream, right?
Yep.
But also at the same time, he didn't work for it. He didn't work for that idea. And let's go back to you. You said that you had a company and you still have a company with your buddies, right? Even when you were waiting for big projects or even when you were working on big projects, didn't you have to do shitty side jobs just to pay the bills?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Lawrence wasn't at that level yet. He was getting there. This is some guy from Inglewood in a bug.
And you're a guy from Kenya struggling to make a shilling. Can I just say, you need to value yourself more because the fact that you compare yourself to Lawrence makes me very sad because you are much better than Lawrence.
I'm not comparing myself to Lawrence. You know what the problem is? Issa thought she was way better than Lawrence. Remember what she said?
Obviously.
Like she had to settle. She had to settle for Lawrence.
At that moment, he was in tracksuits, eating cereal around dinner time and forgot her birthday.
Still, she thought she was a hot shit. When it comes down, she doesn't really have much in her life, right? She's not done.
She has a job. She's getting paid. Barely is abundant compared to what Lawrence was getting.
Well, we know.
He was just sitting around with hand up fucking ass. That's all he was doing.
Well, she was coasting at her job. She wasn't really pioneering anything.
Dude, I'm not even talking about career ambitions.
Yeah.
Right? Because Lawrence didn't even have that either. Right? He didn't even work hard for what he wanted. You think a dream is going to fruition itself just because you will it to? No.
It's coming up with a plan.
You need to work hard. No, sir. You need to work hard. But no, really, if you're trying to succeed and thrive in the tech sort of industry, why was he not surrounding himself with like-minded people? Because he would have found out quite early that his idea wasn't unique. And the perspective that he was bringing wasn't very unique either. His idea was a dime a dozen, and he sat on that for years. He has no one to blame for himself but that, for that.
I agree with that. Like he's
then why are we arguing?
I'm not saying that he's not culpable for anything.
Okay.
Like some of this shit is his fault.
He's the cuckold.
But Issa, I feel like Issa from the get-go just looked for that excuse to cheat on him. Like she was ready.
No.
You can't tell me that shit with Daniel was just she had thought about it. She was just waiting for that right man. Like that man will just drop the panties. And that was Daniel. Because it didn't take much, did it? One night at the club, bang, done. She just needed that guy that she knew and had chemistry with. And that shit would have happened sooner if Daniel
So she just had her legs open, ready for a dick to slide in. And this goes back to an argument that we had while we were watching Insecure. And you were saying that at least we have a story about a black man. And I'm like, no, we've gotten to a point where the story should be better. You shouldn't have dumb characters like him, or at least don't puff him up to be.
There's
has
nothing
a whole
dumb
following.
about Lawrence.
He has a really.
Well, not completely, but all I'm saying is, since when have we seen a character like Lawrence, a black young man with a dream, who's well educated, who knows what he wants in life, who's not slinging drugs, who's not doing anything like that? Like he's capable. He's capable.
He's not capable because he didn't do anything for 4 years.
Mate, as soon as you know when you needed that push, like he just needed that push. Sometimes you just need that push to get your priorities in order. It can come in all sorts of ways. It can be someone cheating on you. It could be you being fired from your work. But to get something off the ground, there's always that monumental push that you need, whether physically or psychologically. And Issa cheating was that for Lawrence. Like he was like, okay, bitch, I'm done. Now I need to get my shit in order. And that's what he did. He went out, got a job, and killed it.
But
people saw his value. And the fact that he's a young black man who has perspective and has a pulse on what the youngings out there are thinking makes him more unique.
Okay. Is he like the Xavier of the world? He can just read people's minds?
Yeah.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, I'm just saying.
Sir.
It's been so long since we had such a character being portrayed. You know, like in terms of a black person.
Yes.
Who can I think of out of the top of my head who's as in terms something rooted to reality that's sort of Lawrence-esque? And I can't think of any. Not off the top of my head, at least.
So because there isn't a portrayal of a smart black man, you're just going to take him by default?
Not taking by default, but it shows the struggle. The struggle is real, mate.
Yeah.
And Lawrence has his faults.
But that was self-imposed. He did that for 4 years.
But in terms of character development, isn't it?
Were you watching the same show or did you watch the Lawrence Hive edition?
I'm just saying, it's...
I genuinely don't understand where you're coming from.
All I'm saying is, like, you know how many young black developers who are out there thinking they're not good enough to do their thing, strutting their shit and settling for doing hospitality kind of work and not thinking that they're good enough to put themselves out there and battle it out with the rest of the community. Like Silicon Valley is super white.
I don't think... Well, it's not just super white. There are other demographics there.
True.
You've got Asians, you've got Southeast Asians.
Well, but it's lacking in melanin a bit in terms of black representation.
I guess the point of this conversation, if that's what you want to call this, is we all come with our frame of reference. If you'll pardon the pun, maybe we need to rename our podcast for frame of reference.
All I'm saying is,
and you've got that lens, right? You are attributing everything that you want to be seen in the world into the character of Lawrence. And I don't think that's fair because cue the corny music, you are leaps and bounds more successful, more driven, and more ambitious than Lawrence. How you actually view Lawrence as a character in Insecure is not actually the way that he is.
You know what? I take those 4 years of him not doing anything and being a bum. Mm-hmm. I'm not taking it literally. Like I'm seeing it. If I was to overlay it in reality, it would be you doing your 9 to 5 casually, not being happy and being stuck, just being a drone. Mm-hmm. You know, we watched Office Space just the other day.
Yes.
And it showed you like the mundanity of a 9 to 5 work where you're not happy and where the craziest things happen and you go through life, you coast through life without really being part of life.
Yes.
So that's what the 4 years represents in this Insecure world. Like it's not really just him being a bum. Okay. It's him coasting through life without tapping into his capabilities
But
and his
this isn't-
abilities to actually succeed as a young black man in the tech world.
Excuse me, this isn't Transformers. You literally... No. You literally... you prefaced it with, I imagine this being. Nah, man. We're watching... We're talking about the show. It's not in your fantasy land. You want to pick and choose which parts of the show. We're talking about the show. And you keep saying the monotony of 9 to 5. Motherfucker didn't have a 9 to 5.
Well,
No. Right? So if we're going to have a civilized conversation about Lawrence and his ambition, then you need to work with the material. You can't just pick from
I'm
other
reading
places.
into it. Like, I'm not taking it at face value.
Dude, you're not even reading into it because it's not that. You're doing your own pick a path. You're just picking and choosing. We are not going to get anywhere. And Issa's not coming back with Insecure until
Sometime next year, yeah.
So we thought this might be a good time to talk about Insecure. We might just need to leave this because I think we're going to miss out on a lot of other characters. We're not even the relationship podcast. But I'm sure if someone has enough time, you can see our foundation crumbling just from this conversation. You don't need to defend every black man.
I'm not defending every black man. I'm just defending Lawrence.
Okay, sorry. Let me repeat that. You don't have to defend every shit black man.
It's tough for a brother out there. Like,
Especially if you're doing shit all. Fucking scrub. Okay, let's just leave it off on that. There is one more thing I do want to mention about Lawrence and also Issa. But if you've enjoyed this unraveling conversation, listen to our Black Panther episode. Because a lot of talk about black significance and, strong or weak sort of men characters. Go and check out that episode if you want to hear us fighting around the world with Tugger. That's a South Park reference. The last thing I wanted to mention is, when we watch things, as you can probably imagine, this is literally what happens while we watch things. This whole of frivolity, salaciousness. What happened when they came from Coachella, Baychella, and Tiffany and Issa were in the convenience store? Do you want to explain to our listeners what happened?
And she saw Lawrence, right?
Yes. Was it that simple? What were the reactions in our household?
Oh, happy because we've seen Lawrence after how many episodes of him not being on the show, and those talks of Lawrence being dropped from the show. And I thought that was completely ridiculous, saying that Lawrence is such a big part of the story that is Issa.
Okay, brother.
You cannot tell the Issa Rae story without Lawrence being there. You cannot tell the Issa story.
The same way you can't tell the Beatles story without the Yoko story. Do you want to go?
All I'm saying,
Do you want to go?
All I'm saying is, what made Issa try harder to change her life? That was because of what she saw Lawrence as. Like, Lawrence had already moved on. He was killing it. And she was like, oh my God, what am I doing with my life? I need to do some more. And that was because of Lawrence. This shit wouldn't have happened if Lawrence wasn't in the picture. It's not because of Daniel. Daniel is out there. Issa is trying to make Daniel a better person. Like, Daniel's stuck doing the same shit. I'm being scared because he doesn't want to ask a friend for help. Many players. It's all because of Lawrence. This should be called the Lawrence Show, with Issa Rae being a supporting act.
Well, you're more than welcome to start that podcast, and then I can live out my dream of talking about Daniel Kaluuya as a sole podcast.
Oh my God. But seriously though, I just feel that
Jay Ellis is not going to win any awards. Let's make that very clear.
Just because people are underappreciating
Oh my God. Let me find out you have a secret blog post about JLS and the Lawrence Hive. Let's leave this, okay?
Cool. Let's talk about.
Do you feel like a big man? Do you feel proud of yourself?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm pointing out the flaws.
No, it's fine. You've said a lot.
I'm also trying to point out the flaws in Issa. She's not perfect. She's far
not.
from
I
it.
didn't say she was perfect.
And even her relationship with Molly, like you could see. In fact, this is where I have qualms with Molly.
So what was everything else that we just heard?
A little qualms. Well, Molly is super successful, right?
Yes.
And she's Issa's best friend.
Mm-hmm.
But she's left Issa just coast through life without doing shit. And what kind of friend is that?
Okay. Is she responsible for Issa?
You have to pull someone up on bullshit, right? Because Molly does nothing for Issa.
Yeah. Wait, do you mean like the fact that she has such a successful career and Issa doesn't?
Yeah.
Or do you mean that as a friend she should be giving her more advice? Like what do you mean?
Yeah, more advice. Like pull a sister up. If you're successful, pull someone up with your level.
Wait, when you say successful, are you talking career-wise?
Yeah, career-wise.
But that's what Issa wanted to do.
But after how long? After 3 seasons?
No, but she wanted to work at a not-for-profit. So what's wrong with that?
I don't know.
Are you saying success is corporate?
I'm not saying success is corporate, but you can clearly tell Issa is struggling, right? She wasn't happy even at the not-for-profit.
Yeah, but at the time, before she cheated, she didn't really want much more out of life. She was numb, but I don't think she really cared to, suck the marrow out of life, if you will. I don't think she was at that level. You know, as we get to, the end of season 2 and even season 3, you start to see that Issa has a pulse again, right? And she...
Brought back by Lawrence, yeah.
We are not going to get through this episode. If you...
It was just a throwaway comment. It meant...
It was a throwaway character. You're welcome. We're here every week, guys. No, sir. He is the Voldemort, okay? Let's not mention him because we're not going to get through anything else in Insecure.
All right. So Molly as a character.
Yes.
She has this rules of the kind of man that she wants to be.
No, let's just capture off on the career. Because arguably we all have that one friend that can do so much better career-wise, but they just don't, right?
Isn't it?
So where does your responsibility for that friend end?
As a friend, just tap a shoulder and be like, mate, you're wasting your life.
Yeah, and if they
away.
don't listen, what do you do?
Just tap her every single time.
Or personally, do you do that?
Yeah. If I have a bum of a friend, I would let them know, man, you need to get your life sorted.
Well, you're a bum of a man, and I'm letting you know that Lawrence is also a bum of a man.
Oh dear.
So I guess we just have two different perspectives on that. I really don't think it's Molly's volition or it's her responsibility as a friend to pull Issa on that professionally, because at that time she didn't really care. But, even throughout the series, there were at least 2 big fights between Issa and Molly where they did pull each other up on each other's shit, right?
Yeah. It was a fast fight when she told Molly to go to therapy.
Yeah, it was at the fundraising.
Yeah.
Where Daniel showed up as well. Yeah. And even when they were fighting, Molly was still that ride or die bitch, helping to distract Daniel. So I guess maybe while you're falling, maybe Molly won't pull you up on it, but just before you hit rock bottom, she's right there.
Yeah, but Issa's super judgmental though.
Wow. If I knew this was going to be the red wedding for Issa, I wouldn't have allowed this.
She's such a judgmental fan for someone who's not even gotten her life sorted. Like, bitch, please, look at yourself first before you start giving opinions on other people's lives.
Is anyone else not judgy in this show? Why are you coming for my girl?
I'm not coming. I'm just saying, like, her character has obvious flaws, like being...
Oh, okay. So she have obvious flaws and other people don't, like Voldemort.
No, just they have subtle flaws that...
Oh my God, I will turn this ship around, sir. Okay, let's no. You can't even talk about Issa now. You don't even deserve this show. You don't even deserve this show.
Issa does it. Yeah.
I think no. No.
We love Issa.
So before we capture off Molly, because we do need to cover some more characters in this podcast sort of format, I just wanted to touch on Molly and her relationships.
Oh,
So Yvonne Orji, in her interviews about Molly, she tried to explain it that, Molly comes from a very successful sort of lawyer career. If I do A, the result will be B. So if I put in this work to go out and put myself out there dating wise, result should be B, right? So that's what Yvonne was saying in interviews about Molly's character. I take up qualms with that. In an ordinary world, yes, that's true, right? That's a very logical approach to things. Molly wasn't that, right? She had an idea of the man that she wanted, but then she went for other different type of men.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, know what you're getting yourself into and know what you want.
Even when she got good men, she found fault.
Yeah, I can't remember the guy's name. Was he in season 1? And then we saw him later on in season 3 when they were going to watch movies. He had one sexual experience with a man.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. But that guy, right? I really didn't like how Molly was so judgmental with that.
Yeah, he thought the guy was gay, right?
Because he had one sexual experience with a man.
Yeah, that was really weird. And even when you remember, Jidena was in this show, right?
Yes.
And they dated, and we thought...
In amongst his busy schedule of doing 5 remixes for Classic Man.
we love Jidena.
We do love Jidena, but he had way too many remixes.
But she found fault with Jidena as well.
She found faults with everyone.
Yeah, she's just so... She has a list, and everything has to be...
She's that person.
Yeah, she has a list of the kind of man she wants. And they have to tick all the check boxes before they're even allowed a sniff.
No, she gives them a good sniff.
Well, a sniff at a relationship with her.
Okay.
Because she thinks once she finds a man that ticks all these boxes, it's automatic marriage down.
And I think it was Jadena when they went to an engagement party. It was Jadena where she asked to be the +1.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yep.
And then Jadena made a comment about, you needed me here. Like, you wanted me to be here. And she's like, no, I wanted you to want to be here, or whatever the fuck it is. Like, why are you acting like this is a relationship? It obviously isn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. She's that kind of lady. She's just so unhinged. She needed that therapy. Because I don't know what she'd end up with
but
without that.
She wasn't wholly honest with her therapist either. And it wasn't until, I think, near the end of season 3 that the name Dro came up.
And I hate Dro so much. He's everything wrong.
But he's a strong black man.
No, he's not. Dro is just not a character that I like at all.
But he was upfront with his open relationship. So why is he a problem?
I don't know. He just rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah, he rubbed me the wrong way as well, but not anything tangible.
Yeah.
He was a gross person, but at least he was explicit and also upfront with his grossness. Molly wasn't. She kept trying to pretend like this open relationship wasn't an open relationship. Every time Candace, his wife, would call, she would get really pouty. And it's like, what the fuck did you think this was? But I guess it just really bothers me because Molly was brought up with her mother and father in a marriage. And then she got so upset when she found out that the dad cheated.
Yeah, because she thought they had this perfect relationship.
And the mum stayed. So she's got these sort of conventional, traditional sort of values. And that's what she wants. But her actions don't really mirror that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with living your best life and having a good rotation. There's nothing wrong with that. But if she's looking for a steady man and a stable man to ground her, that's Sterling K. Brown's character, who she got bored with. He was in the show, you remember?
Yeah, I do.
He was the perfect example of, this is someone I marry and settle down with, right?
Yeah, and now Little Rel is trying to get up in that.
Yeah, but even he's not really the marry. Well, he's not in that sort of mindset, right?
No, but Little Rel really loves Molly. Like,
But my point is, Molly's looking for something, but her little expenditures are happening somewhere else.
yeah. And
that's what I'm not really understanding, because why does it, like, Joe's in an open relationship, whether you want to say he is or he isn't. Even, Issa and Prentice Penny, the showrunner, have said that there's no secret about it. They're in an open relationship. So that's not even at dispute, right? I don't really think that Joe's to blame in this. I think Molly should have set better boundaries. But I do understand that humans are fallible creatures. So, we say one thing and we do another. That's quite common. So I do get that, and I do resonate with that as well. But there's I don't even think the word is naivety. But there's something about Molly that's so, I guess she's got like Disney princess syndrome. She just thinks that things are going to be perfect and a knight's going to sweep her up.
yeah.
On a horse. Like, it's just ridiculous the way that she is. I do want to come back to the car rental guy, because when she sees him again, he's a manager at that car rental, right?
Yeah.
And then she sniggers, and then she makes this joke about him being gay, right? But that was actually his brother or something. I just wanted to bring this up again, because we didn't really get to touch on it. In 2019, people's sexuality is an open canvas, essentially. The fact that there are people and countries that are still persecuting, homosexuality, and that sort of thing is just, it's deplorable. The fact that it's still happening, even if we don't talk about, extreme sort of hit lists of, homosexuals to kill. Even if we're just talking about in the sphere of Insecure, it really bothered me that Molly, a strong Black woman, that's very successful,
woman.
Not progressive. I purposely strike that out. But I really don't see what the big drama is about this guy having one sexual experience with a man. It really bothered me that she found a problem with that. And was it a play? Molly, Issa, Kelly, and Tiffany where it was an intermission for something, and all of the girls were having a talk about this, and it was quite an interesting sort of commentary that Black women have about masculinity.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like Issa was the only one that was like, big whoop. Right? So that was quite an interesting sort of insight that we got there as well. But is there anything you want to capture off about Molly before we move on to some other characters?
She's struggling with how to be ambitious without being a bitch, or without being perceived as a bitch.
Oh, she had a lot of missteps in her in her career as well.
Yeah, so she's an exciting character, and you just want to see this journey unfold and how she'd end up career-wise, and whether this friendship with Issa will last. If it does, like, I'm not sure it does.
I think they're good for each other, and part of what makes them good for each other makes them butt heads a lot.
Yeah, I feel like it'll come to a point where they'll part ways because they're not that compatible.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a good balance that they have. Because if they were too similar, there would really be nothing to talk about.
Or maybe when Issa starts dating, or when Molly starts dating Issa's brother, that will be The
I think he's gay.
is he? Is he? I'm sure. I'm not sure.
First person to answer that question for us at hello@fyrpodcast.com. We'll send you a prize. I feel like he is, though. I feel like he is.
So yeah, that's all for Molly for me.
And I guess we'll see more unfold once Insecure comes back.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Kelly and Tiffany. Can I just say Kelly is goals? She has so many one-liners in this show that alone, just watching, if you're ever sad, just watch a compilation of Kelly's character in Insecure and her one-liners. They're one of the best.
Yeah, she's quite good.
You've ever been burped before? Love it, right?
Yep.
And then when they're at Coachella and she gets tased and she's on the ground and she's pissing herself, remember me different. I love Kelly. And then even when she's looking at Issa's finances, she's like, you're gonna save. And she saw that Issa literally had no money at all. And I think that's also something to point out as well, because Tiffany and Kelly, in their own respective fields, were quite successful.
Oh, actually, come to think of it,
Yeah.
all the three ladies are quite successful apart from Issa.
But it's not because she's not in the corporate world. It's just because she's become complacent. I think she was there for 5 years. We Gotcha.
Yeah.
Which we haven't even talked about. We need to talk about We Gotcha.
Oh, with the white
With the white hands holding the black kids. How did we not even see that? I hope they had that since season 1 and they just decided to unravel that in season 3.
That was hilarious.
So let's, anything else you want to say about Kelly and Tiffany? It's sad that we're running out of time.
Yeah, not really. But they're really solid characters. We love Tiffany. Tiffany is...
And all of her pregnancy pictures. Apparently Amanda Seales tried to, or successfully has kept those portraits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, even though she's not pregnant.
Oh, wow. She's the quacky friend of the group.
She's the bougie one.
Yeah. Yeah, she's super bougie. And she struggles with the fact that she thinks that her friends will abandon her now that she has a kid.
Well, they kind of did. They have their own group chat.
Yeah, but...
And then Molly and Issa didn't even volunteer to throw a baby shower. Kelly did, though. And that was a weird unraveling as well, because Kelly and Tiffany were quite close. And Kelly got really hurt. And she was making a cake as well for the baby shower.
Yeah.
Remember? And then Tiffany's new friends was like, oh, thanks, we'll just put it over there. Put your cake over there. She spent all this time trying to make a cake for for Tiffany's character. And it was quite sad to see that. But I guess that happens, as you get older, people start to have babies, even maybe before you. And obviously things aren't going to be the same.
But you'd think that your closest friends would be there for you. Granted, I get Issa and Molly being dicky about it, but Kelly, come on,
Yeah, I guess it was a bit of a conflict because she kind of didn't want the dynamics to change, but she also needed women that she could relate to because they did have kids. So it was a weird sort of space that Tiffany was in. And I do like that we started to see more dimension with Tiffany's character as well.
Yeah, because she was quite, one-dimensional until she got pregnant. And then we saw a side of her that showed more emotion and showed more about what Tiffany is all about.
Yeah.
Like, she values friendship, something that we didn't really show as much in the previous seasons.
Yeah.
But when she's going through this is when you need your closest friends to be there for you. And that's not what happened. They're all so tied up in their own worlds to realize that, hey, our friend is having her first baby.
Yeah.
And they've done shit for her. Like, Kelly tried to be there. Kelly tried to reach out, but not to the point where...
No. Kelly did as much as she could to try and help Tiffany.
Not as much as she could.
No, because
she
even Tiffany acknowledged that. So
I feel like she could
don't make things up like you did about Lawrence.
I'm not making anything up.
Write your own fan fiction, but this is not
Everything
part of the
I
show.
say is fact.
Everything you say is filler. None of it is canon. So We would be remiss if we didn't, in our minute remaining time, talk about Issa's workplace at We Gotcha.
So this is where Issa has worked for, I don't know, a lot of 5 years. And it's where she's just coasting through. She's trying to get more responsibilities, and that doesn't turn out too well because they have this exchange program where they are actually secluding Latin or non-Black kids from the program. And Issa is surprisingly well with that, which is kind of weird because as someone of minority, you'd all want to raise up together. It's not. Anyway, it's weird. And this is something that actually Frida touches on. And like, she put Issa on a pedestal.
Yeah.
Like, Issa could do no wrong. And then when this unravels and Frida's like, shit, would you actually do this? Like, and we see the relationship with her and Frida completely change. Well, she's angry at her. Rightly so. I was pissed at her as well.
So was I. And
we start seeing how this affects her career as well in Ugotchol, because she's not given any more responsibilities because of that. And she's kept in the back room.
And I think it's worth noting that Frida actually supported a lot of Issa's early ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, she was always there. And even when Frida tried to talk to Issa about it, she was like, nah, I don't see the problem or whatever. She just passed it off like it's not a big deal.
I guess that's part of the problem that I had, because I can be objective. You're about to hear me be objective. Issa was so desperate to get a result that she didn't understand the path of destruction that she left behind her. And I guess for her, it was easy because she wasn't overtly discriminating. She was she understood Principal Gaines' sort of deal. And that's kind of his discrimination. And she kind of just let it happen. Because in her rationale, which I don't think was correct, her rationale was, at least I'm helping some of the kids.
Yeah.
And when they were outside and they were near the buses, Principal Gaines was talking to Issa, and then after he was done, Frida did try and gently, she always does it quite gently, she gently tries to nudge Issa, and Issa's like, that's easy for you to say because you're white. I've had to deal with this all the time. I'm just trying to do what I can do, right? Even in that moment, she was wrong.
Yeah. And I don't know, because I'm not Issa's biggest fan in this, and
are you sure?
When you see moments like this, I'm like, it just solidifies how selfish she is.
Yeah, she is.
It's always about number one. It's always
about
about
other characters are selfish, not just Issa.
Well, how more so?
It should be called, instead of Insecure, it should be called I'm Selfish, and then have a spotlight on everyone.
Like, Issa, she wants to work in this not-for-profit to have an effect, right? But what effect is she having when she can turn a blind eye on discrimination like that and still think that at least she's helping a couple? All the other kids that are trying to get into the program are just not worth the time. It's ridiculous. It's all fallacy. And I just want to say categorically, like, Issa wasn't suited for that job. She's not responsible enough.
I don't think it's that she's not responsible enough. I think she just, a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time she fails to see the big picture and the knock-on effects of her isolated decisions.
Yeah, not responsible enough.
No, not that.
I wouldn't trust Issa with my keys, man. Like,
I would trust Issa with my life. Take my $2 life savings and take my life.
Yeah.
But my life savings is worth more than my life. So that was quite some interesting sort of social commentary that we had within Insecure. And I like that within Insecure, there is a lot of key messages and there is quite a lot of, shining a light on social commentary that happens. And it isn't preachy. Yep. It fits quite nicely into the concurrent sort of activities that unfold in
Yeah.
Insecure.
Yeah, and also cover gentrification. Like Issa's walking around.
That is perfect. Yes, thank you.
Issa's walking around and she notices all these changes. All the apartment blocks that were there before are being closed down or being bought out. And there's a white lady handing out flyers
In Iwood.
Oh, I would. It just paints a picture of what's happening in society at the moment.
But it's beautiful. So LA is actually, it's in LA, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm terrible with American geography. It serves as a backdrop. It is also, I kind of hate when people say this, but it is a secondary character in this show.
True. And you could see she gets even priced out of her own apartment.
They got to bump up the rent at the dunes.
Bump up the rent because things are being put up that doesn't even suit the neighborhood.
But, you know, it isn't presented in a preachy way, and they don't dedicate a whole bottle episode for it. They put inflections along the way of the series, and you start to see the evolution and the process of gentrification happening.
Yeah.
And let's touch on this before we run out of time. Speaking about the apartment complex that she was living with Lawrence, can we talk about Thug Yoda? Yeah. So one of the best moments of Insecure is when I'm assuming they're a gang of bloods because they're all wearing red and everything they say is with a B. But one of them starts dancing and he goes hard. And he's just like, is this choreography? Is he, what's happening right now? That was one of the best. I died. I died. Any moments with Thug Yoda were amazing. When they had the couch on the sidewalk and he was talking to Issa, like, are you going to use that couch? Or when he was with his daughter and he saw Issa and he's like, I'm teaching her ABBs. So good.
So good.
And Thug Yoda was also in Awkward Black Girl. He was Darius, the little whispering baby in Awkward Black Girl. So that was quite nice to see.
Nice. Could you just cover something that I think we've forgotten?
You have my permission.
Issa's relationship with Daniel.
Yes,
especially when Issa moves to Daniel's apartment.
Is that a common thing? Is that a common thing for young people to just crash on people's couches? That it's essentially just a fuck buddy sort of arrangement.
Well,
because Daniel saw it as moving into a relationship, but Issa didn't.
Issa just
maybe not at first, but as season 2 in particular unfolded, Issa started to realize she didn't want to move into another relationship, which is good, and that's growth. Like Kelly's saying, growth. I'm doing the hand flower thing. So that's good that she acknowledged that she didn't want to be in a relationship at that point in time. But she kind of left Daniel dangling because from his perspective, they were entering into a committed relationship.
Yeah.
He was also the one that Issa called when she got in a car accident because she was looking at a dick pic during her rotation.
Yeah, like it's crazy because Issa wanted all the parks without putting in any sort of work into it.
Sounds like another character that I don't want to talk about.
Like Issa, and then Issa has the nerve to get angry when Daniel brings a girl home. Like,
no, it's not that. It's just inconsiderate. And
come on. If I'm crashing on someone's couch, I know, I'm fully aware and I accept all that comes with that. And I know that person would bring in a girl or a boy.
No, but even you could see that Daniel was doing it out of spite at some point.
Regardless of whether it's being done out of spite or not, she has no right.
I like Daniel's niece. She's hilarious.
Yeah.
But sorry, girl. Like Leona Mormont, you probably won't get much airtime in this episode. But yes, so that whole Daniel. Let's talk about him coming in her face, because that.
I did not see a problem with that.
Well, I also didn't see a problem with that, only in the sense that it wasn't intentional and it wasn't malicious.
Yeah, and she just watched a how-to
she went
video
to a sex
on. Yeah. So come on, you're sucking dick, and then when the guy comes, you're all angry.
Well, he came on her face.
Yeah. The dick's pointed at her face.
So I from what I understand, I'm just going to leave that alone. Just going to leave that alone. I do understand that there are some underlying connotations about the degradation during sex. So I get that. But that definitely wasn't what was happening in that scene. So Issa and Lawrence are very similar in the aspect that they don't really see where their faults are in situations. Not to say that Issa had a fault. She was just giving good head.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, she kind of needed to see that the big picture.
Yeah.
Right?
Because she took it way overboard. Like, nah.
Yeah, but getting cum in your eye also isn't a fun time.
True that.
Where do we go from here? Chad, actually, that's a great transition.
Yeah. So he's Lawrence's best friend.
Best friend is an interesting word, but yes.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Like, he's there for him. He gives him a couch to crash on when.
Yeah.
So Chad is a great guy. He's
a great guy in his capacity. He's not really. If he's going to tell you anything profound, it's going to be betwixt some sort of sexual retelling misadventure. Like, you're not going to sit and have an Oprah moment with him. He's just not that friend.
Yeah.
Because I think Lawrence did try and call. It was Chad, wasn't it? He was trying to call him and try and have a deep and meaningful. First of all, Lawrence, you're kind of wrong because he's at a pub. He's obviously not going to have that sort of conversation with you. But that also talked about the lack of emotional support that men have as well.
True.
Right? You kind of just need to deal with things as they come. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
Chad was a solid character. I do enjoy whenever he comes up on the screen. They don't overuse him, which is good. So there you have it, guys. There is so much more that we could have dived into if OT wasn't too busy fapping over Lawrence. If you're interested in hearing more about our thoughts on Insecure, let us know. Maybe we can have some sort of bonus sort of capacity, sort of content. But let's just leave it there for today. Issa, we love you. Hopefully you do come back with season 4 very soon. We do miss our characters. But take care of yourself because she's very busy now. So hopefully she's also getting rest and she's drinking water. I do worry about my queens. So we've now come to the part, as per the name of our podcast, called For Your Reference.
Yeah.
What have you got for us?
I would recommend Atlanta.
Nice.
Just because it's a story being told from a perspective of a young black man who's trying to navigate life, same as Issa and all that goes with it. So it's quite interesting, told by Donald Glover.
Yep, Donald Glover.
Yep. So it's a good show. And
I feel like his character Ern would be friends with Lawrence because they're both lacking ambition.
He has ambition.
Maybe you need to rewatch it again.
And what's your reference?
I would like to recommend 2 for this week. The first one will be her YouTube miniseries, Awkward Black Girl. I think it's very important to watch it, if not to satiate you until season 4 of Insecure, just to appreciate how far she's come. It was literally, if not the whole series, at least the first episode where she's in the car, it was just her and her friend holding the camera and trying to coordinate it together. And there's something so admirable about that. Not something, everything. Everything's admirable about that. So watch Awkward Black Girl if you haven't watched it. The other show that I would recommend is 30 Rock. Because if we're talking about my lady loves, Issa Rae, Tina Fey are always in the same breath. I think they both have the ability to interweave social commentary and themes that aren't always superficial into a funny, bitey, witty package.
Yep.
And we'll definitely talk about 30 Rock because who doesn't love talking about Dr. Spaceman? Exactly, right? So if you haven't watched 30 Rock, we don't shun you, but definitely give it a go because you will love it.
Yeah. And that's it for this week.
That is it. Follow us on our socials on Twitter and Instagram. We're For Your Ref Pod.
And write us an email on hello@fyrpodcast.com.
Stay away from the Laurentide.
Live in the hive. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.